I don't have a don't have a really good intro for Jungle Cruise. Gonna run through the jungle. That's what the Applebee's are doing for their promo. Although I will say I did not expect Disney film based off a fun little cruise ship ride in the jungle to open with Metallica's "Nothing Else Matters." And nothing else matters. Whoa! They because of the whole conquistador aspect they throw in there. The beginning of the beginning guitar riff of "Nothing Else Matters" has that very Spanish kind of influence on the guitar. But Jungle Cruise, the latest in a bunch of, actually not really the latest in Disney rides. We really haven't had much past Pirates of the Caribbean. There was the Country Bears, which is an oddity, somewhat enjoyable, an oddity, and the Haunted Mansion, which frankly is just, we can ignore the Haunted Mansion. So yeah, this is their newest trek. This is their newest run through the jungle, if you will. What's the best way I could put this? Pleasant, enjoyable, you get what you expect. I think that's the best way to put it. You are getting exactly what you expect out of that trailer in the movie. You get Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Emily Blunt. They're charming as F together. Their banter back and forth is very fun, and he's just got a lot of personality. He's The Rock is very lovable. Emily Blunt is delightfully in over her head, but optimistic and wanting. There's a jaguar in the film that's just just really fun. It's just a really fun character. It is a character. Her brother is a lot of fun. It's honestly the bad guy. He's enjoyable when he goes out. How the bad guy goes out. I'll admit, I got a good laugh, and I went, "Oh damn!" I'm like, that went dark. It's got a great vibe. It's a fun adventure. It actually is it's a fun family adventure. It's definitely got some more adult moments to it. There's a scene involving The Rock where we learn about The Rock's character more, and we're like, well, that earns it actually the PG rating, at least. I think it's actually PG-13, if I'm not mistaken. But that definitely earned it the PG rating. That was interesting. Of course, I called that when we see a scene later on. I'm like, can't be it. It's got some laughs. It's got some legitimate laughs too. Weirdly enough, so this is the most minor spoiler I'll give. The brother reveals during the movie that he's gay. He's not said it, but I don't fancy her, but a different way or whatever. And with ostracized because I love. That's why I follow my sister, because she supports me regardless. But there's some jokes that if you understood what he was talking about, can be interpreted as such innuendo that it's really hard not to laugh hard. And the action's decent. It's not amazing. There's some shaky cam which is used to hide the CGI. And I think I'll use that to segue into the negatives. It's the CGI verges from all right to oof. Particularly on the conquistadors. They look, in terms of design, cool. Like these zombie conquistador cursed, well, not even zombie, cursed conquistadors. They look cool, design wise, but you can tell that's some CGI on that. It's not the worst CGI I've ever seen by far, but it's also not the best I've seen by far either. So there's that. It is very predictable as you're watching it where it's going to go scene by scene. What happens there at the end? It's oh my god, they're going to try to do this, but it didn't work. But it ended up working. Hey, the whole misunderstanding things or, liar reviewed. I'll say this about Emily Blunt's character, though. She gets on The Rock's case about being a liar when she herself just is kind of rude with no apologetic nature to her. She was very blunt, Emily Blunt, if you will. Puns, which is a running joke with The Rock. He just makes these terrible, terrible jokes throughout the movie. But yeah, and Paul Giamatti is like just a kind of a throwaway character who has no arc whatsoever. And I mean, like, he wouldn't have an arc, but he is basically a throwaway character for what it is. So yeah, he's in the movie. I mean, he's fine, but he is just like, why'd you get Paul Giamatti for this? Is because it's just a fun character to be playing with an accent. I'll say this, dude. This movie definitely takes from the Pirates of the Caribbean, but not just that. From things a little bit like Indiana Jones, from The Mummy. Honestly, it's not like a ripoff of The Mummy per se, but it did. The beginning of the film definitely gave me a bit of a Mummy vibe, like the scene in the library in the beginning with The Mummy, where she's trying to she makes the mess in the museum. So yeah, I did get some vibes from that, definitely. It's got a great soundtrack, and visually, like the aesthetic of the environment of the Amazon, of like the tree they're trying to find, design work of like the village. It looks gorgeous. Like, it's a visually very lovely looking film. I'll say this, and this actually has nothing to do with the movie, but folks, if you're gonna take your kids to see a fucking movie, I don't care if the kids are being a little loud or noisy. I mean, I do care to some degree, but I'd rather them be at least, not able to sit still and be a little noisy and, ruckusy, than actually be listening or watching something on a phone while you're in the movies. Because the movie was loud enough at points that I could ignore it, and sometimes the kid wasn't, there was like a far back row. This guy brought his 3 kids in to see the movie. I'm like, okay, fine. And in the trailers, they were listening to something. I'm like, okay, whatever. It's the trailers. As the movie begins, I'm like, all right, I'm watching a movie. And periodically, I hear the fact that, oh yeah, no, they're still listening to the thing in the background. What the hell? Do you have no common decency? Don't get me wrong, there wasn't a lot of us in the theater. That's why I didn't. And this wasn't like we saw Endgame or something like that, and someone was doing it. If someone was doing that in Endgame, or pretty much any Marvel movie where it'd be a really packed crowd, I'm almost positive someone would have immediately said, "Don't fucking do that." We're trying to enjoy the film, but because there were so few of us, and then, I could tell other people were kind of hearing what it was, but we just, it didn't feel like the movie to bring it up, and possibly get in this guy's face with his kids there. That was the thing. It was kids. If it were if it was a bunch of grown ass adults doing that, then I would have gotten up. I'm like, look, okay, I don't give a shit, how many people are in here. Turn it off or get out, or I will get someone to take you out. But he was with his kids, and I'm like, ugh. And no one seems to be really complaining. There wasn't a lot of us there. It's Jungle Cruise, so I'm like, all right, I'll grin and bear it. That's it. I'll sit and bear it. And for the most part, I actually was able to just be distracted by the movie, fortunately. It's engaging enough that it wasn't that big of a hindrance. But every time there was like a quiet moment, a lull, where you were trying to actually have some character moments. Then I'm like, oh, God. I actually plugged my ear at one point because they were on this side. I'm like, I can barely hear them now. And I can still hear the movie. I shouldn't have to be doing this, but this helps. So yeah, to anyone who has kids, either make sure the kids are going to be watching the movie, or don't bring your kids. And I say that about a kids or a family film. So yeah, that was kind of an annoying experience. I've been having a lot of those actually more recently than not, where people just seem to be forgetting fucking common manners in the theater, and I think it's just because COVID and we haven't been out in so long. We're still acclimating with the rise in the Delta variant and all that crap. I hope theaters don't close down again, because they were lucky to survive and are still in recovery mode. If things get worse and they close down again, I don't know if they're going to be able to survive. I really don't. So I just pray that things work themselves out. That's all I can do. I'm fully vaxxed. I still carry my mask with me at all times. So I'm this now became a PSA. Please, I don't get the. I really just don't get the anti-vax stance. Be courteous to everyone else. Get the vaccine, and if you're not gonna do it, which you should, but if you're not gonna do it, at least wear a mask. It's not about civil rights. It's not about freedoms. It's about common sense and safety. Public safety, yours and others. So there's your PSA for today. Overall, though, yeah, Jungle Cruise. Back on point real quick. I actually really liked it. I was surprised we got a trailer for Dune attached to that. That surprised me. It's the newest one, too. And we got trailers for both Shang-Chi or Shang-Chi, I think it's actually pronounced. I think they say it in like the most recent TV spot, how to say his name. Shang-Chi. And the Eternals. So I'm looking forward to both those. Next week, Suicide Squad. You bet your ass I'm going to be there. No, yeah, honestly. Wow, my voice just went really weird. Honestly, it's actually fun. I would actually suggest it more for the theater than I would Disney Plus. First off, I'm not going to get into the Disney Plus debacle. I don't talk the movie news anymore, really at all. It's just, first off, not enough people were really watching it when I did it. And I mean, granted, it was much earlier in my YouTube days, so I didn't have a lot of subscribers to be interested. Maybe if I did it again, people would be watching, but I just don't feel like talking about that kind of stuff. But with the whole Disney plus the Black Widow scenario, Marvel, their heads are going to be rolling at Marvel, and not the heads that Mr. Chapek probably wants. Look, I'm not going to be surprised if they maybe boot him out, because the decisions he's making aren't helping. And I mean, the Disney Plus premium isn't going to be helping this movie, just like it didn't help Black Widow. I would say though, it's a good time in the theater. Honestly, you're probably going to get more out of it in the theater than you are in your home. In your home. Again, if you're still cautious about going out, though, understandably so. Again, with the whole COVID thing, and you do still want to see it, and you got a family. If you've got a family, say of at least 2 kids. Yeah, I'd say this is probably worth the $30. I mean, it's still a lot, but not as much as if you're buying concessions and you're spending like the 11 something. I think the average movie ticket's like 10, but it's like 11.25 here. If you're spending that for that's actually going to be cheaper in the long run. You have your snacks at home, all that. So I can see the value there. I do suggest that always support your local theater, because the money they make at the box office will help keeps making these types of movies. The better movies, and the less than better movies that still look good then turn out to be crap. So yeah, and just keeps the industry going. So yeah, I mean, support your local theaters. If you want to see this movie, please go out and try to see it in the theater. But if you can't, I actually don't think it's a bad buy on Disney Plus. That's assuming you want to spend the $30. So yeah, I liked it. I had some fun with it. It's a fun little movie. But thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. You'll notice my Green Knight review isn't up yet. I got sidetracked. My girlfriend doesn't want to be on camera or anything like that, and I totally respect her wishes on that. So I didn't do the review last night after we got out. So I'm gonna actually do that tomorrow. My review for the Green Knight. Spoilers though, I did like the movie quite a bit. So there's your brief 2-second spoiler, or 2-second review. I liked it. Maybe that's what I should do for reviews. That's like, I liked it. I hated it. It was okay. That's it. No, I wouldn't do that to you folks, and I wouldn't do that to me either. I want to talk about the movie, obviously. But that said, Green Knight review will be up tomorrow. Same with Who Would Win and What If. Trying to think of anything else. I mean, I got the rest of the weekend out too. Yeah, I don't really have any other plans. I got the Who Would Win, the Pokemon team, and the box office on Sunday. And then it's the usual week coming up. I mean, we got 2 new What Ifs coming though. Spoilers: I did complete the current Dragon Ball What If. Admittedly, I was rushed because I was having some without being any sort of descriptive gross, some stomach issues. But ultimately it ended where I thought it would have ended. So yeah, we'll be starting 2 new What Ifs next week. One of them is the Naruto Zanpakuto Ichimonji edition. I will be doing a video detailing how we're doing the Zanpakuto Naruto What Ifs, because I feel